Hey everyone, welcome to today's edition of One Single Story. It is Wednesday, back with my lovely wife, Barbara, as we talk about the Song of Solomon. Today's reading was Song of Solomon, chapter 5. And he comes to see her. She's already taken a bath, washed her feet, gotten in the bed. She's cozy, and he comes to the door, wanting to come in. And she's like, why should I get up and open the door? And so he tries to get in and then can't, and he leaves. And of course, then she changes her mind, and tries to go open the door, and he's gone. And we'll talk about a little bit about that tomorrow. But it is what appears to me to be a simple misunderstanding. She wanted something, or he wanted something, whatever it was. Maybe he wanted sex that night. I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to come in and talk to her. And for her, it was just too much trouble right this moment, But he leaves. She wished he had came in at that point, and marriage is full of little misunderstandings. We talked on Monday about the little foxes. How should we handle small misunderstandings?
Communication. I mean, it all goes back to communicating. I think we can't be self-centered into thinking, well, he hurt my feelings and I'm just going to stay over here and I'm going to lock him out and I'm just not going to talk. We have to communicate. We have to listen.
What kind of misunderstandings do you and I have?
Maybe the misunderstanding of sex signals. I don't know. Now, there are so many different things. My tone, your tone, was it sharp? Did it mean to be sharp?
Yeah.
Misunderstanding of, well, I meant for you to do this, but you weren't clear, or I weren't clear, and I just make it about me and I'm mad. Well, he just misunderstood me and he's not trying to understand.
What kind of things do I do that are most likely to trip you up?
I'll give you this example that maybe I have, but you're using a tone, you have a tone, and I don't feel like I have a tone, so then that makes me get a tone. But
if you didn't have one, you have one now.
You're making me have one. No, because you can be pretty.
I ain't got no tone.
You could push that button a little bit. And, sometimes a misunderstanding with, say, for example, the tone, if possibly I had a tone, but you're pushing a button to keep wanting me to admit that I have a tone, just that little. I think if you would say, don't say, what's your tone? And because that grates me in a wrong way. If you would figure out how to be easier with that instead of getting a tone saying, what's your tone? Might be easier, but I don't know. What's some misunderstandings you think?
You huff a lot.
Yeah, I do. And
I always think it's at me.
Yeah, you do.
And
it's
and
you can't help yourself not to say what you huffing at,
right,
with a tone. So it snowballs. So I do huff a lot. I think it's a way for me to release whatever's processing through my mind to
but I always
get
think
it out. You're
irritated with me about something.
You're right. And
it can be, we don't get our conflict ability to deal with conflict is light years better than it was.
I'll give you an example for the tone. We were at Costco this past week.
Yeah.
Whenever, Monday, whatever. And I may have apparently rolled my eyes. that I didn't realize.
May have
And
apparently.
so when we were walking
Most
out,
likely would be.
yes, I'm an eye roller. But when we were walking out, but I didn't realize that. So when we were walking out, and you're like, "Why did you roll your eyes at me?" And I didn't know I rolled my eyes at you. And so, yeah, yes, that's probably a big misunderstanding.
Yeah.
With us.
Tone, huffing.
Yes.
Eye rolling. Because
yes.
by the way, I have seen a few men that could roll their eyes, but I ain't one of them.
No.
She laughs at me when I try.
He rolls his head. I'm like, that's not it.
That's the only way I know how to do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah. When there is a misunderstanding, so when a couple has like a misunderstanding, and I think that the majority of conflict in marriage is small foxes, misunderstandings. They're not major things. How do you resolve those things?
Well, I think what you need to first remember, you're on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
You're not against each other. You stood, took vows that, you got to remember that you're on the same team and you're wanting the same things, and you can't let this little nitpicky and misunderstandings get so big that you're fighting.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to decipher what is meant, because even we have ex-spouses, both of us, and all four of us are completely different.
Yes.
And even in those external situations, there's a requirement for us to decipher exactly what did they mean. They said this, but what did they mean? And it's not just giving them the benefit of the doubt. It's deciphering, what's driving this, what's behind this, why are they saying this? Because we have children, we have grandchildren, and there's this myth that people think, okay, at some point it'll end. You need to interact with other people, and it makes life complicated because in that situation where we've had the most conflict been over kids.
Sure. Yeah.
And then you add extra parents in there, and everybody tends to overcompensate for the other one's flaws.
Right.
And the inability to understand that you're on the same team, that is a difficult concept. Even with parents who aren't in blended families, they can dispute about money or parenting or 1,000 other issues, and you forget, like, what you really both want are good kids. What you really both want are all the bills to be paid and you have money in the bank. What you really both want. So how do you make sure you're able to see that, hey, we're both on the same team. We're all on the same team.
It's with, maybe becoming friends or with someone that's good at this, like a couple that has walked through these situations. Look for godly wisdom of other couples that, struggle in these areas. People that walk before us and that can give us good counsel and good wisdom, and
learning to communicate.
It's
really critical.
It's the biggest thing,
which requires listening and talking.
Well, that's what I have here: communicate and listen.
Yeah, well, communication is listening too. It's not just speaking; it's hearing.
But I think also male and female, has different ears. If I say, I've heard someone say, another couple, this is what they say they practice, is as we're trying to communicate with you and my point of view, and for it to have you say it back to me. Okay, this is what I heard you say. This is what I heard you concern. And you're deciphering what I just said through your mind and bring it back out. And I could say, no, that's not exactly, or yes, that's exactly what I meant. And so then you've communicated and you've listened.
Yeah, because I'm a very straightforward, and anybody that deals with me, they know, like, okay, you got a few minutes,
Right.
and you need to lay out the facts, no fluff, and say exactly what you mean, even if it's just.
And I have a hard time doing that.
Yes,
I'm not good at that.
and you speak in generalities,
Yes.
and always and never, and
Well, I've learned.
Yes, you've gotten better.
I've
And we
learned.
just did a little exercise, which we did with the staff too, which
Mhm.
was a precision exercise. And we saw, it was interesting, like even on staff, but we noticed it for me, if I say always, to me, that's 99% of the time. For you, it was like 70 or 80%. Never was the same. Never for me would be like 1% of the time it happens. For you, it was 20 or 30%. And we went around the table on staff, like some of them were 80 points apart for our staff. But I remember one in particular, there were several people, it was maybe or might happen. And several of them had 10% for might happen. Well, if I said might happen, like I'm already leaning in that direction.
Yeah.
But when people, so what would happen in meetings is, okay, we might do this. They left thinking, okay, there's a 1 in 10 chance this is going to happen. And I left thinking, okay, this is 60% sure this is going to happen. And had they known that, we would have been better off. But I'm a very, like, I just want the facts, say what's got to be said, let's deal with it and go on. I don't want to, I don't, it's not that I don't want people's feelings. I'm a much better talker than you are. You're a much better listener than I am. And so you have to work at the speaking. I have to work at the listening piece better. But communication, it requires both. It requires you to speak directly, say what you need. And we've seen this in our kids, their ability to express themselves or their ability to listen, when they need to listen. It can be challenging either way. And learning to communicate is one of the greatest gifts you can give your marriage to overcoming misunderstandings.
Sure. Yes. I would totally agree with that.
Any tips on communication that you would give to people?
I think you summed it up. You have to, that's one thing I had to do is I had to learn to communicate being married to you, because I came from a family that weren't big communicators.
Or they fought.
That they had emotion. When they had an emotion, it was probably anger. I had a first marriage that was very similar, the same way. And so when I married you, I had no idea. I didn't know how to communicate so well or how to talk. And so I've had to learn. I've had to learn how to communicate and how to know how I.
And I want you to tell me, right? She's
that is a trigger right there.
She is threatened to buy me a T-shirt.
It says, "Tell me,"
because I want you to tell me. Like, I want you to spit it out.
And like I said, I have a harder time expressing myself, and you are just, like I'm on trial. I feel like sometimes.
Yeah.
When you
when we get in a conflict. Yeah.
Yeah, and so.
But in general, I just need. I need the facts. I need as quick a details. Somebody was telling me the other day that they overheard a conversation between Wendy and another person. So Wendy's been working with me for 12 years. And they were like, I don't know how to talk to him. Like, it's just, I struggle to talk to him. And she said, you got about a 10-minute window. You don't need to go in and, try to get all the feels. And, you just need to sit down, say this A, B, C, D, and be done. Just get up and walk out. And they were like, I don't know how to do that, Right. But that's how I think. Like, I have so much going on. Like, all right, this is done. Let's deal with this. Say it. We're much better at that today, than we were. But communication is critical to overcoming misunderstandings.
Yes.
Good. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. Hope you'll be back tomorrow as we continue this conversation. You might get a little bit of insight into our own personal lives as you listen, and we'll continue the conversation
that hasn't happened already
about the Song of Solomon.